Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Charlotte Comedians Getting Coffee in Charlotte, but today we are not in Charlotte. We are in Raleigh today. So I am interviewing a Durham comic, not a Raleigh comic, but we're in Raleigh today because we have a show tonight at Goodnights. So thank you so much for joining me. Nick,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for coming. What are you drinking?
Just a drip coffee with a little bit of oat milk.
Amazing, how is it?
It's quite good.
Wonderful.
It's my second one of the day, so I'm about to get real buzzed real
Love
soon.
It. Love it. We
Yeah.
have to be because comedy is exhausting.
This week is one of those weeks where you're just
Yeah.
running on coffee.
Dude, I get that.
Cheers.
So, cheers. We are at Jubala Coffee.
I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
I don't either. But it's here, and it's just down the street from where we're going to be hanging out tonight. So I thought it'd be a cool place to hang out, get to know each other. So Nick, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, maybe how you got started doing comedy and how long you've been doing it?
Hi, my name is Nick. I am a comedian and artist and science communicator, and I live in Durham. I've been doing stand-up for a little over 3 years. I started while I was a student at Duke, and I've gotten to perform across New York. In 2025, I debuted my first hour, and I've been touring that for the past year at various small festivals around the U.S. as well as, sorry, there's a motorcycle. And I also did the Edinburgh Fringe in 2025.
Whoa!
Yeah, open for a couple cool folks. Mostly just live in Durham, work in Durham, and travel around the Triangle for stand-up gigs. And I also do music and drag and art commissions. So
What?
keep and children's science shows. So keep myself busy with a lot of random things.
Dude, my God, that's so cool.
Thank you, thank you.
I don't even know where to start. First of all, how do you do all of your laundry and get all your other things done outside of all the things?
Oh, one step at a time. I'm kind of a person who like thrives in chaos.
Nice.
And I also like having full control of my time.
Right.
I like not having someone tell me what to do.
Right.
By doing these sorts of like science events work and doing stand-up, it's kind of a place where I get to really make a living off of my own authenticity, which is really fucking awesome.
It is literally the dream. I
Yeah.
think you're living my dream. You're living all my dreams.
Feels pretty great. I've been moving this weekend, so I actually did like 3 loads of laundry because
Oh my
I've been so
gosh.
behind.
Dude, moving is such a time. Did you start doing comedy by like taking class, or did you just start going to mics? How'd you get started?
So my situation was very unique. When I was a sophomore at Duke, their stand-up club was just in its like 3rd year. It was super new. So I saw their show because they had like a free show every semester, and I was like, I could do this. And I joined and then did my first stand-up set, just kind of like off vibes. And I had a really good time with it. I wasn't like good or anything. And I did this program at Duke where I got to live in LA for a semester, take classes, and also like work towards my degree. And I had a work requirement, so I had to work somewhere, get course credit for it. And I found myself working at a comedy club. It was like a small independent comedy club full of absolute wackos. It was affectionately nicknamed Zoo, and I like hosted mics 3 times a week. I performed, got a bunch of stage time, and then had a lot of free time because my classes were super easy. So I just started doing a bunch of stand-up. So I didn't really like take a class or anything. I just kind of learned by like
On the job.
vibes and doing
Yeah.
it. It was awesome, you know. Then I just took it back with me here.
Yeah, I've been struggling to find like a consistent writing process for
Oh,
myself.
yeah. I actually don't think you need one. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do stand-up. I think I had a consistent writing process for like 2.5 years. I don't know. I think the best things that I do for myself is just taking care of myself and committed to like throwing myself into new experiences and doing things that I enjoy, and that I'm a firm believer that like actually find humor in things. And I also get a lot of humor from just like talking to my friends, and like we'll be having conversations, we'll be riffing, and then I'll say something off the cuff and I'll be like, oh wait, that's actually really funny.
How would you kind of describe your comedy style?
I would say my, when we did Rusk, if you don't know what Rusk is, it's a type of like, it's like a biscotti, is the best way I could describe it, but a little bit different, like a tea biscuit. And I did the show at a festival in Raleigh, and there was this one theater critic that called my comedy deliciously dry, which is also what Rusk is, but also I think how I describe my comedy.
I like that.
Yeah, I would say deliciously dry, but I would also say like witty, clean, because like I'm a science educator in my paid job, so I also do a lot of science-infused comedy as well too. I'm very active in the science comedy scene here.
Since you are a science communicator and educator, outside of comedy, how do you feel like there are 2 separate identities, or do you feel like one might maybe influences the performance of the other sometimes?
I do. They're sort of 2 separate identities just because kids is just very different for performing. So I work at a museum here and also for like another company, and also I'm starting to organize more like local science events and things like that, which are fun. But I think one, like for stand-up, for example, your goal is to get people to make as much noise as possible. And then when you're like teaching schools, your goal for kids is also to make sure kids stay quiet. So,
Right, true.
So it's a bit more classroom management, but it's not too different from like adults.
Right,
you know?
very true. Very true. You're kind of herding the same
Yeah,
crazy
it's all
cats.
just also
It's
shepherding. You
so
know?
much
Yeah,
shepherding.
a lot of
yes.
shepherding. I feel like I'm a shepherd.
You're a shepherd. That makes sense. Aside from science educator, you also do drag. Can you tell me more about how you got started doing that?
Yeah, I've been doing that for about a year. For me, drag started just from like a gender dysphoria thing as a trans person, but I just happened to really enjoy it. And I like before that, like I'd never done makeup before. I was never into fashion or anything like that. I don't have a persona or anything. I also do drag as Nik. So
okay,
my drag
nice.
name is just Nik. You joke that there's a silent G at the front. The G is silent, both written and spelled, because it's king backwards. Anyway, but kind of allowed me a whole new space to explore my creativity that I was really missing in the past couple of years. So like to like make a lot of my own clothing, like my shorts, like I did those and kind of stuff. And my backpack's in my car, but you'll see that too eventually. But yeah, so I started like making more clothing. So I started to do a lot more because I also like write a lot of music and stuff. So getting to like do that in drag. So it was more of like same person because in stand up I'm very deadpan and that's kind of my style. But I also have a side of me that's like angry and super emotional, right? Because in stand up sometimes I enjoy making people feel out things other than laughter all the time. And so drag just became the space for me to do that. And also just like securing I had like a queer performance venue because most of I would say my comedy is more targeted towards queer audiences because I do more queer comedy. And there's not as many like queer comedy venues here as there are for like more great comedy, I guess.
In a lot of ways, drag has a lot of comedic elements to it as well.
Oh, absolutely. And like I stand up in drag. I don't enjoy it, but like I enjoy doing stand up like as this Nik versus as different form of Nik. I mean, all of it's just looking stupid and trying to make people entertained. So I'm just trying to like for ways of exploring your own artistry and like it's nice how they blood into each other. Like I have a lot of clothes that I have made for drag I now like just wear in my everyday life because I think they're cool and give me like a sort of distinct persona that's really important when you do stand up and that kind of stuff. So I think like people, you know, are like, oh, like I can't do stand up, like that's too scary, like I'm not a funny person, or like, oh, like I'm not like a makeup person, I can't do drag, or like I think people can do whatever the fuck they want to do. And having a possibility model for that's really important to me. I'm sorry I'm talking so much.
No, please, that's why you're here.
The caffeine is like boring.
That's okay. I get it.
Put that in the edit. Anyway.
I'm thinking a lot about like the comedy persona or brand or vibe. I've just been going through a phase where I'm like, I hate everything that I'm wearing. And like, look at a lot of...
love what you're wearing, personally. I was like, oh, I feel very underdressed.
I've been trying to experiment with like stuff, but I keep getting into this like weird Band-Aid colored palette, and I'm like, I don't love it. But I feel like you see people do stand-up, the way that they present themselves matters. It's very important. It definitely lets the audience know like who you are. I think having like spaces or things that are like yours is like so cool.
It is really cool. And I mean also like just, for me it's all about trying to do this as efficiently as possible. So like for stand-up, it's good for my job because I, you know, like it's like I'm working in a museum or like that kind of stuff. People are like, wow, nice pants, or like whatever. It's also for me, I'm like, I just love it doing it so much, and like I've started slowly taking on like more commissions like other people have been really interested in, so now it's just like a thing that I can share with people, so that makes me really happy.
Something else that I've been kind of curious about when talking to other comedians is kind of almost blending our two, like our day job and our night job, right? So like sometimes my coworkers will try to ask like, what else you got coming up and things, and so occasionally I'll invite them out to things, but I don't often do so. Do your coworkers come to your shows?
Not really. I also technically have 6 jobs, so it's just a lot of people to tell.
That's fair. Yeah.
No, like I have a lot of friends in the scene who are like very day job and then have a night job. For me, I think I learned very quickly, and like I'm 22, so like I just graduated college, so
I'm the most efficient 22-year-old I've ever met in my life.
I realized that like the 9 to 5, then going into stand up and like having like the Hannah Montana lifestyle of comedy was just not for me, and I'm a bit too wild and whimsical for that. I had the privilege that like I finished school early and you know, had some savings from college, so I wasn't like as pressured to like need to make a bunch of money really fast. Yeah, and then it just kind of happened that I like just jobs kept coming in fields that I really enjoy and doing work that's really fun. And so my work-life balance is a way more blended, and that has its pros and has its cons because like I am working all the time, and like sometimes it's harder to like turn your brain off and stuff. But I also love that I'm never bored, and like most days I get to do stuff that I really, really enjoy and stuff that's very aligned with like what I love, which is like science, art, and community service.
Yeah, truly, truly, you're living everyone's dream.
Thank you.
But on that note of how busy you are with 6 jobs and all of these creative projects you've got going on, Can I ask what self-care might look like for you, or if you get overwhelmed or burnt out? Like, how do you kind of balance that?
That's a really good question. For me, I think self-care is like, it's a couple things for me. So one, it's very much prioritizing my time alone, because I do spend a lot of time in front of audiences or with crowds or with people.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, when I'm not performing, I'm freaking watching TV and eating ice cream in my room alone, or like, you know, going for old man walks in the woods near my house. And I also really love cooking and really love food, and that's like, you know, like, or something like, at least from my culture, that I like to preserve a lot. So I love cooking and making food for my friends and stuff. That's really important for me. And right now it's a little bit less so, but just like, you know, having my friends come stay with me, or getting to like call my sibling, or call my parents and that kind of stuff at home. So yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely not great at it. So I'm like, I don't want to be like an example, because I'm learning a lot. And I think also, you know, as the more I'm learning, like, that I want to be like an independent artist, and you know, that whole lifestyle of which there's just not a lot of resources and just not a lot of people, especially like Asian Americans and stuff like that, that are doing that stuff. So it's just been hard because I feel like I'm still in the phase where I like always am constantly proving myself, and waiting for that break to come, and just realizing like, oh, I actually can sort of give myself that break now.
The self-care thing is tricky to maintain consistently.
Yeah, I'm not great at it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I also get this weird fear, and let me know if this happens with you too, but if I am burnt out and somebody asks me to like do a show, or somebody asks me to jump into like an improv workshop or whatever, if I'm exhausted, I'll still say yes, because I'm scared that if I say no one day, they're going to stop asking.
Oh yeah, there's a
huge,
I mean, with arts and with gig work, there's a huge scarcity mindset, right? And it's like, it's very hard to recognize that there is an abundance all around. So like, I guess my answer to that is, right, the way to combat scarcity mindset is to, you know, prioritize the connections you have. So for me, like, self-care is really just making sure that I'm committed to maintaining the relationships that I want, because even in the times where I'm like, have been at full capacity, or I'm like, I can't show up for this, or like, I had to cancel like a whole month of shows because I got like super sick and I felt terrible. There's a boba place in Durham that I really love going to. It's a like AAPI queer-owned, woman-owned place. It's called the Beanflower. Great place. You should check it out if you ever driving around. And I was supposed to do play some of my music there, and then I was like, hey, I can't be here. I'm so overwhelmed. I also make sure to like at least twice a month to like go by from there, or go stop by there to say hi. So it's all the way that I'm learning how to combat that scarcity is to make sure that I'm investing in the relationships that I want. So anyway,
that's a good way to look at it. Yeah, like Charlotte doesn't have like a huge Asian population. Sometimes I hypothesize that like I've had the growth as a comedian here because nobody else looks like me where we are.
Yeah.
Whereas like if I did this in like where I grew up in like Southern California, it'd be like, okay.
Cool. From Irvine?
Fullerton.
Cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, but there's a lot of Filipinos there. There's a lot more diversity there. So I think like being Asian in a place that's very not, sometimes I feel like has been an interesting edge as a comedian, but also it can feel a little isolating sometimes too. Identity-wise, like how do you feel being, I don't know, like an AAPI kind of comedian in a very kind of white place?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and like Durham is such a diverse place. I will say we don't have like a very, very large Asian community, but especially there's a very large Asian and South Asian community in like the neighboring areas, especially in like Cary and Morrisville, that kind of areas. So there's always like great food, or like on Saturday I am because in Raleigh is where NCAAT, or North Carolina Asian Americans Together, I think. So they're having a festival in Durham, and like I'm emceeing for that. So I'm like,
damn,
the cool Asians are around.
Yeah, you have like
find them.
Cool, like you have like cool organizing Asians.
Yeah, like the
let's
cool,
hang
like
out.
the woke Asians.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm like, that was also very important to me, because I've also like, I'm from the Chicago suburbs that have like the non-organizing Asians, you know, the kind of Asians that just perpetuate oppression.
Yeah, the ones that are like, we're perfect. But yes, no, I
like, you get what I mean.
Yes, of course.
So I'm like, I'm from that world, so I'm like, I know that time very well.
Yeah.
So I have been very lucky to find that. But also I'm like, as a queer and trans and disabled, like, Indian American comedian, I'm always the only one everywhere. So I'm like, I've been very comfortable with that and very used to that. You know, sometimes it sucks to be like a bit exoticized or exhibitionized or all that stuff like that, but all you can do is just to keep finding people and keep finding ways that, like, as a comedian and especially as someone in a local scene, like, just finding ways to keep bringing people in and keep like making this space like a welcoming place for new people to try out, because that's like like we're not doing this so that we can hoard all the things. Like there's enough laughter to go around.
100%.
Laughter is not going to run out anytime soon.
It's not a
So-
finite resource.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
right. And so for me, like that's also like another thing with abundance, because like comedy is so cool because it's not like, I mean, it's not like visual art, right, where you can like run out of paint, or you can
Right.
like there's always ways you can find ways to make people laugh. And
Yeah.
so I'm never gonna be out of a job.
True. Very true.
I'm never gonna be rich, but like
Right.
I'm never gonna be out of a job.
Yeah,
you
you're
know?
never going to be bored.
Yeah,
for sure.
never be bored.
I know you have so many things going on, but in 2026, what would you say, like comedy-wise, you're kind of working towards?
One of the things I really want to learn this year is how to tour and go on the road.
Yeah.
I'm doing some shows up in Virginia next month, and I'm also opening for Alok in Texas, which is where my parents currently live.
Oh, cool.
So just getting the opportunities to be in the world and touring and stuff is really cool. And like I got to do my hour up in Asheville, which was
Wow.
awesome. And I'm doing it in Lynchburg, Virginia in June. And I'm also doing the North Carolina Comedy Festival in Greensboro in the
Nice.
fall. And then hopefully doing my hour at the Durham Fringe Festival. And then my other big comedy goal, which I know is like sort of pretentious, but is to take an actual break from stand-up.
Yeah.
So I'm saying it. July and August, I'm doing no comedy shows.
Nice.
And I'm just gonna live my fucking life. And like still, work and
Right.
pay my bills and all that stuff like
Right.
that. But just focus on, I think one of the, like, it's been awesome that like at this stage in my career and I'm painfully reminded of my age constantly by other comedians. And like I know I have a lot of time, but and it's been really nice to be like so booked and busy, but one of the things that really sucks is like I feel like I don't have enough time to show up for other people.
Yeah.
And so I really just want to take 2 months where I'm like not doing a show, so I can go to I have time to go to other people's things and like be able to be a supportive audience member, because I think that's really important as a comedian, because we all like hate those people who like go to fucking stand-up shows and are like spending the whole time on their phone,
Right.
or like
they do their shit at a mic and then they leave right
and
away.
they leave, and I'm like at times I've been that person.
Me
so
too.
I'm not trying to say like I'm a fucking saint, but I'm like I now have the capacity to make that time, so I'm trying to commit to it.
Yeah.
My goals are to tour, and I also applied for some other comedy festivals, so we'll see if I get in, just like around the country. So yeah, to tour and to fucking take a nap.
Yeah. Those are good goals for
Yeah.
sure. Thanks so much for sitting down with me and hanging out
Absolutely.
with me.
Yeah,
This has been so
anytime.
cool.